A boy is walking on a rope while the crowd around him insults and mocks him. Suddenly, the boy falls from the rope and wakes up, realizing it was just a dream. The next day, while walking through the market, he spots a group of punks harassing a girl. Without hesitation, the boy steps in, beating the punks to save her. Afterward, he introduces himself as Sakura from Furin High School. Grateful, the girl thanks Sakura by treating him to omelet rice. She introduces herself as Takabana and explains that she's not from around town. Sakura devours the meal, enjoying it. Takabana suddenly asks, why did Sakura color half of his hair and wear colored contacts? The question catches Sakura off guard, making him uncomfortable and defensive. After a moment, Sakura calms down and explains he joined Furin High because it's known for fighting and gang wars. Sakura's goal is to become the top fighter by defeating every student there. Takabana smirks, teasing Sakura for wearing the school uniform so early in the year. Suddenly, Grandpa Yama exits the store, and Sakura, noticing he left a bag behind, hands it back to him. Takabana then advises Sakura that he can't reach the top of Furin High alone and he should make some friends. But Sakura does not like the suggestion, brushes it off and walks away. Outside, Sakura wonders whether Takabana might be right when, out of nowhere, he encounters a gang robbing a store. Spotting Sakura alone, the gang begins mocking him. But Sakura quickly silences them by punching the leader and taking down each member one by one. They try to fight back, but none can match Sakura's strength. Takabana hears the commotion and runs outside, only to be grabbed by one of the gang members and taken hostage. Sakura, unfazed, saves her in no time and continues to beat the gang members like a true Giga Chad. However, one gang member cuts Sakura's leg with a knife, while another swings a baseball bat toward him. Before things get worse, a Furin senior named Hiragi shows up, rescuing Sakura. Soon after, 3 more Furin students arrive, joining the fight and taking out the gang together. The townspeople begin to cheer for the Furin students, leaving Sakura confused. Takabana explains that the town used to be violent with gang wars, but 2 years ago, Furin students put up a sign warning gangs not to cause trouble. The students who fought to keep the peace became known as Bafurin, kind of like heroes of justice. Despite Sakura's strength, he feels out of place. While the Bafurin are celebrated, he remains feared and alone. As the townspeople thank Sakura for helping, they offer to bandage his injured leg. Sakura refuses, but Takabana insists and wraps it up for him anyway. Embarrassed, he shrugs it off and, in a fit of frustration, runs to kick Hiragi in the face. The next day, Sakura enters the cafe, carrying an elderly woman on his back as she struggles with hip pain. Grateful, the granny thanks Sakura, and he prepares to leave, but Takabana offers him an omelet toast as a reward for helping people. Just then, a Furin student stumbles into the cafe, tripping and falling flat on his face. The student, Nirei, introduces himself and mentions that he'll be attending the same classes as Sakura. Nirei, noticing Sakura's white hair, assumes it's due to stress and expresses sympathy, much to Sakura's embarrassment. Unfazed, Nirei explains on about how the Bafurin protect the town and are beloved by all the locals. Sakura becomes clearly annoyed, declares that he came to town to defeat all the Bafurin members and become the top fighter. Nirei laughs, warning Sakura that such a goal is impossible and joking that he might go bald in the process. Sakura, now more embarrassed and irritated, challenges Nirei to a fight, but Nirei declines, explaining that he has other things to take care of, and leaves. Sakura grumbles to Takabana about how much he dislikes people like Nirei who run away from fights. Takabana, however, advises him not to judge others too quickly. As Sakura heads out and walks through the streets, the local vendors begin thanking him for standing up to the gang members and helping to protect the town. It's a strange feeling for Sakura, as he's not used to receiving this much kindness. Suddenly, a girl rushes over, pleading for Sakura's help. In a nearby alley, Nirei is being beaten up by a group of punks, yet he refuses to give up and continues to fight back. The punks mock his efforts and prepare to land another blow when Sakura arrives, effortlessly taking the punks down. As the punks run away, Nirei thanks Sakura and reveals that he used to be bullied a lot as a kid until one day a Bafurin member saved him. Ever since, Nirei has wanted to be just like his savior and join the Bafurin. Hearing this, Sakura, for the first time, praises Nirei, finding him more interesting than he first thought. Just then, the girl returns, thanking Nirei for his bravery earlier. Nirei stands up, immediately pulls out a notepad and starts bombarding Sakura with questions for his notes. This quickly annoys Sakura, who snaps at Nirei for being a creep. Apologetic, Nirei offers to be Sakura's guide around town and even help him achieve his goal of becoming the top fighter at Furin High School. Meanwhile, at the high school, the introduction ceremony has already begun. But Sakura is still enjoying some bread, showing no urgency. Nirei, frustrated, drags him along, and they eventually rush into the academy. Once inside, Nirei checks the class list and excitedly notices that both he and Sakura are in the same class alongside some impressive students. However, his enthusiasm fades when he spots a particular name on the list. Sakura is doing some warm-ups before entering the classroom and is immediately impressed by the strong presence of the students inside. One of them, Suo, steps forward to greet Sakura. Suo commends Sakura for standing up to the gang members and introduces him to the rest of the class. Overwhelmed by all the attention, Sakura starts feeling nervous and explains that his goal is to beat the top guy of Furin. Suddenly, a desk flies across the room. Sugishita threw the bench and challenges Sakura to a fight. Sugishita lunges at Sakura, throwing punches with intent, but Sakura swiftly dodges each strike. Excitement builds within Sakura, and he retaliates with a powerful kick to Sugishita's face. Both fighters prepare to continue their brawl when suddenly, the classroom's speaker system starts. The voice on the other end belongs to none other than Yumemiya, the top student of Furin. Despite his goofy tone, everyone in the room listens intently, stopping their fight immediately. Yumemiya cheerfully reminds the students to enjoy their youth, make plenty of memories, and avoid fighting on their first day. He also emphasizes the importance of protecting the town. Surprisingly, everyone agrees with his words, and Sakura is impressed by the influence Yumemiya seems to hold. Afterward, Suo steps in, asking both Sakura and Sugishita to shake hands and make peace. Although still fuming, they reluctantly comply. The other students then welcome Sakura to the town, and for the first time, he feels a warmth he isn't used to but genuinely enjoys. The moment is short-lived as a senior calls them all to gather on the school grounds. There, Sakura spots a familiar face that is Hiragi, who was involved in yesterday's gang fight. Hiragi rushes over, warning Sakura to keep quiet about the fact that Takabana was in danger during the brawl. Sakura thinks that it is weird. Nirei, curious, asks why Hiragi pulled him aside. Nirei then explains that Hiragi is one of the 4 kings of Furin, introducing Sakura to the intricate power structure within the Furin hierarchy. Nirei also mentions that he and Sakura should be in the Taman team, which is led by Hiragi. Hiragi soon assigns Sakura, Nirei, Sugishita, and Suo to the same patrol team and leads them on their first task, that is patrolling the town. Despite Sakura and Sugishita constantly arguing, Hiragi keeps them in check as they move along the streets. At one point, Hiragi spots an elderly woman struggling with her work and directs the team to help by painting a wall at her shop. After completing the task, the shop owner rewards them with snacks, and the team continues their patrol. While passing under a train bridge, Sakura notices a strange dog symbol and asks about its meaning. Nirei warns him to be cautious as it's the mark of the Shishitorin, a rival gang. Just then, a middle school boy comes sprinting into view, being chased by members of the Shishitorin. As the boy is about to be caught, Sakura and Sugishita step in, rescuing him. This act alarms Nirei and worries Hiragi, while the other members of Shishitorin mock their fallen comrade. The tension escalates when Shishitorin's second-in-command, Tagame, arrives on the scene, questioning why Furin students are on their turf. Hiragi greets Tagame, but things quickly take a turn when Tagame begins belittling his own member for his failure. He even goes as far as stripping one of them of his uniform, deeming him too weak to represent the Shishitorin. Disgusted by the display, Sakura insults Tagame, calling him weak. Tagame, visibly annoyed, brushes it off with a remark about Sakura's odd hair, and threatens to beat him to a pulp next time they meet. This encounter leaves Hiragi and Nirei deeply concerned, knowing it could lead to more conflicts between Shishitorin and Furin. Understanding the rising tension, Hiragi takes the middle school boy, Sasaki, to meet Yumemiya. Sakura is curious and excited to meet Yumemiya. However, when they arrive, instead of addressing the looming gang issue, Yumemiya is more interested in talking about his plants, which leaves everyone shocked and confused. Yumemiya then turns to the others, proudly showing off the plants he has grown. Sakura, watching him, wonders how someone so foolish can still command such respect from everyone. Suddenly, Sasaki stands up and starts explaining what happened. He had mistakenly wandered into the Shishitorin territory and was chased by its members, but fortunately, Sakura and Sugishita saved him. This led to a confrontation with Shishitorin, and Sasaki, feeling guilty, apologizes for causing trouble. Yumemiya reassures Sasaki not to worry, promising that he will handle the situation. The others mention how Sakura called Shishitorin lame, which might stir more problems, but to Sakura's surprise, Yumemiya praises him for being brave and speaking the truth. Sakura feels a strange sense of safety around Yumemiya but gets embarrassed and steps back. Suddenly, Hiragi's phone rings, but the person on the other end doesn't respond. At that moment, the leader of Shishitorin, Choji, storms into the Furin school grounds and starts beating up the Furin members. Choji demands a fight and challenges Yumemiya. Without hesitation, Yumemiya heads down to the school ground, with the others following behind. Though Sakura wants to join, a few words from Yumemiya are enough to stop him in his tracks. Choji is eager for a one-on-one battle with Yumemiya and demands it right there. Yumemiya, observing the injured Furin members, calmly suggests that Choji has already caused enough trouble and they should settle things peacefully. Choji, however, charges forward and kicks Yumemiya, who blocks the blow with ease. Yumemiya then asks why Choji is so desperate for this fight. Choji confesses that since becoming the leader, life has been dull, while Yumemiya is always laughing and having fun with his friends. Choji wants to defeat Yumemiya to take over Furin and restore excitement to his life. Soon, Tagame and the other Shishitorin members arrive, and more Furin students gather on Yumemiya's side. Choji gets frustrated, complains that he wanted a one-on-one fight, but Tagame steps in, suggesting it wouldn't be wise with so many Furin members present. Still, Yumemiya orders the others not to interfere and accepts the one-on-one challenge. Meanwhile, the other Shishitorin members start arguing with Furin members, and Choji eventually suggests a team face-off. The groups agree, selecting their opponents, and schedule a series of one-on-one battles at the Shishitorin territory tomorrow. Later that day, at the cafe, Nirei expresses his anxiety over the upcoming fight, but Takabana tries to calm him down. As they discuss the situation, Yumemiya enters the cafe and starts playfully complimenting Takabana's looks. Sakura observes them, suspects they might be in a relationship, but Takabana quickly clarifies that she and Yumemiya grew up together and have a sibling-like bond. When Sakura awkwardly mentions that Takabana looks older, Sugishita throws a stool at him. Even Yumemiya warns Sakura not to be rude to Takabana. Yumemiya then sits down to eat, discussing the history of Shishitorin with the others. He reassures Sasaki not to worry about the upcoming fight and eventually leaves to get some rest. Sakura and the others followed Choji to the fight's location. Along the way, Sakura noticed that the area was packed with nightclubs, and Nirei explained that the area was known for having the most clubs in the city. Curious, Sakura asked why Nirei was tagging along, given that he didn't have a fight. Nirei, somewhat flustered, explained that he was also involved and, as a Furin member, wanted to observe and learn from the fights. Hiragi cut off the conversation, telling Sakura to keep quiet and keep walking. Soon, they reached the Shishitorin base, known as Orion or Ori for short. It was a former movie theater that had gone out of business, which the Shishitorin gang had taken over, renaming it Ori, meaning cage. As they entered the main stage area, all the Shishitorin members were already seated, eagerly awaiting the upcoming battles. Nirei grew anxious, but Sakura reassured him, keeping him calm. Yumemiya, as leader, reminded everyone that the primary battle would be between him and Choji, so they should go easy on their opponents. The first match was between Arima and Sugishita. Nirei read up on Arima in his notebook and grew concerned for Sugishita, but the others told him not to worry. When the fight began, Arima distracted Sugishita with a feint and landed a clean hit on his face. However, Sugishita wasn't fazed at all. In response, he threw Arima to the ground, defeating him in a single move. The entire Shishitorin gang was stunned into silence. Suddenly, Choji began clapping, expressing his interest in fighting Sugishita for fun. But Tagame intervened and stopped him. Yumemiya congratulated Sugishita on his victory, and even Sakura acknowledged his strength. Choji decided to start the next match, ordering two members to carry Arima away. As they did, the two mocked Arima for being weak, which irritated both Sakura and Suo. They belittled the two mockers, and one of them tried to mess with Suo, but a single glance from Choji sent him away in fear. The next match was between Numa and Suo. Before the fight, Numa angrily accused the Furin gang of labeling Arima as weak, but Suo pointed out the hypocrisy as Numa had been mocking a fallen comrade earlier, but now he was pretending to care. The fight began, and Suo gracefully dodged all of Numa's attacks before launching a counterattack. Numa, clearly frightened by Suo's superior power, fell to the ground. Seeing this, Tagame ordered Suo to stop and declares that someone as weak as Numa couldn't remain a Shishitorin member anymore. With that, Suo was declared the winner of the second round and left the stage. Suo returned to his seat, receiving praise from everyone around him. Meanwhile, Numa carried the unconscious Arima to the corner of the stage. When Arima woke up, he noticed how shaken Numa was after his defeat. Next, Sakura was eager to fight, but Hiragi stepped forward to face his opponent first. Hiragi's opponent, Sako, seemed to know him from the past, though Hiragi rarely spoke about himself. As Hiragi walked onto the stage, he greeted Sako like an old acquaintance, making it clear they hadn't seen each other for a long time. Sako initiated the fight with swift but powerful attacks, putting Hiragi on the defensive. Both Tagame and Choji realized that Sako was giving it his all, which was unsurprising, considering he was one of the top 5 fighters in Shishitorin. Though Hiragi tried to dodge, Sako's speed increased, and he finally landed a hit, sending Hiragi into a corner. Sako, thinking he had won, but Sakura shouted from the sidelines, scolding Hiragi and motivating him to continue the fight. Hiragi, with newfound determination, got up and took some pills to ready himself for round 2. As the battle resumed, the intensity increased, exciting the crowd. During the fight, Hiragi recalled a memory from his childhood, where he had once saved Sako from bullies and, at Sako's request, taught him how to fight. Sako grew to admire Hiragi, and when Hiragi was preparing to join Furin, Sako offered to help Hiragi become the top fighter. However, Hiragi declined, explaining that he supported Yumemiya as the leader of Furin. This rejection left Sako angry, and in his frustration, he met Tagame and Choji, ultimately joining Shishitorin. Now, the two old friends found themselves clashing in battle. The fight intensified, but in the end, Hiragi won the fight, shocking the Shishitorin members. However, Tagame remained unfazed, instructing the others to carry Sako off the stage. Hiragi, showing respect, personally helped Sako down. As Tagame prepared to strip Sako of his Shishitorin jacket, Hiragi intervened, requesting that Tagame wait until all the fights were finished. Tagame agreed, and Hiragi returned to his seat, where Yumemiya congratulated him on his victory. As the fight between Furin and Shishitorin continued, Tagame zoned out, only to be reminded by Choji that it was time for his match. Meanwhile, Sakura, eager for battle, stepped onto the stage, with the Furin members cheering him on. Both fighters were ready, Tagame quick on his feet, forcing Sakura to focus entirely on dodging his attacks. Sakura eventually landed a hit, but Tagame quickly retaliated, grabbing Sakura by the collar and attempting to stomp on him. Tagame mocked Sakura, calling him lame and cocky, fueling Sakura's anger. Sakura, with a surge of strength, broke free from Tagame's grip and launched a barrage of attacks. The Shishitorin members were shocked by Sakura's sudden power, though Choji seemed thrilled, enjoying the intensity of the fight. Tagame, however, regained control and landed a brutal hit, pinning Sakura to the ground. As he stomped on Sakura's head, Sakura yelled that he would never lose to someone who bullied middle school kids. This comment caught Tagame off guard. Surprised, Tagame paused and admitted he hadn't known about the bullying. He then left the stage, walked over to Arima and Numa, and beat them for their behavior, making it clear he wouldn't tolerate such actions. Afterward, Tagame returned to the stage to resume the fight. As Sakura and Tagame exchanged blows, Tagame remembered the day Choji forced him to join Shishitorin. Back then, Tagame had built a reputation for taking on the Zinc Gang. The Shishitorin members praised him, and their social circle felt complete when Choji became the leader. Yet Choji, despite being the strongest, grew bored and wanted all members to become as strong as him. Tagame vowed to train everyone hard, but suddenly a member returned injured, saying the Zinc members had beaten him. Choji, instead of sympathizing, kicked the injured member, declaring that weakness wasn't allowed in Shishitorin. Tagame got scared and tried to speak up, but ultimately agreed to Choji's philosophy, promising to handle weaklings while Choji would continue smiling. Back in the present, Sakura and Tagame traded punches, but Sakura managed to land a strong kick. Sensing something was off, Sakura confronted Tagame, accusing him of not fighting seriously. Tagame, confused about his own actions, looked at Choji, uncertain about what to do next. As the intense fight continues, Sakura suddenly stopped and asked Tagame why has he beat up his own gang members. Tagame explained that Shishitorin valued devotion to power, not loyalty to weaklings. Over time, Tagame had rid Shishitorin of many who didn't live up to that standard. He reflected on Choji's obsession with challenging Furin, which dragged Shishitorin into this unnecessary fight. Tagame confessed that he had supported Choji's mistakes in the past and now couldn't turn back from his path. Tagame seemed lost in thought, prompting Sakura to snap him back to reality, urging Tagame to fight seriously. Fueled by renewed energy, Sakura launched attacks, but Tagame dodged them. Finally, Tagame had enough and landed a powerful punch on Sakura, exciting both fighters even more. Tagame then took off his sandals, letting his hair down, signaling that he was ready for the next round. The two fighters clashed with even more passion, impressing everyone watching. As the battle progressed, Sakura started to question why he was enjoying fighting someone he initially thought was lame. Eventually, both fighters collapsed to the ground, exhausted. Tagame, smiling, declared that he was satisfied and wanted to end the fight. Both got up one last time, preparing to throw their final punches. Just as they exchanged blows, Tagame had a sudden realization that he should have stood up to Choji in the past, challenging his mistakes rather than enabling him. Instead of fighting back, Tagame took the hit, fell to the ground, and surrendered with a smile. This infuriated Sakura, who demanded to know why Tagame had let him win. Before he could get an answer, Choji stepped onto the stage, praising Sakura's skills. Choji then began calling for Yumemiya, eager for their long-awaited fight. Tagame tried to stop Choji, admitting that this whole conflict was a mistake, but Choji kicked him aside, dismissing his words. Enraged, Sakura grabbed Choji and was about to hit him when Yumemiya intervened. Yumemiya praised Sakura's fighting spirit but gently reminded him that it was now his turn to fight. Conflicted, Sakura and Tagame left the stage, with Sakura feeling odd after receiving Yumemiya's compliment. On stage, Yumemiya faced Choji, calmly asking if Choji had felt anything during the last fight. Choji did not notice anything. Choji then explained that Furin has strong members while his own Shishitorin members were weak, making it boring for him. Choji declared that if he won, Furin would fall under his control, and he would finally have the freedom and fun he craved. Choji then launched a wild attack on Yumemiya, his movements powerful and unpredictable. Despite the chaos, Yumemiya dodged gracefully, attempting to reason with Choji, but Choji ignored and continued his relentless assault. Meanwhile, Sakura stood to the side, still frustrated, questioning why Yumemiya had stopped him from confronting Choji. Outside, the rain poured harder, mirroring the intensity of the fight on stage. The room was silent, and all eyes were glued to the fight between Yumemiya and Choji. The tension broke as Choji landed a powerful kick on Yumemiya. He tried to punch back, but Choji effortlessly dodged. Yumemiya pointed out that Choji's punches lack weight as he is not fighting for anything real. Choji, ignoring Yumemiya, attacked furiously, landing an uppercut that staggered Yumemiya. But Yumemiya retaliated with a well-timed punch, knocking Choji to the ground. Choji stood up and started attacking again with desperate energy, yelling that he just wanted to be free. While dodging the attacks, Yumemiya remarked that Choji talks about freedom, but he does not look happy. This struck a chord with Choji and he stopped. Yumemiya said Choji don't even know himself anymore, which only enraged Choji further. Choji threw a barrage of punches, but Yumemiya expertly avoided each one, slipping in a punch of his own while urging Choji to treat his gang better. Choji's mind drifted back to the past, remembering the happiness he once had with his gang. But now, all that joy had gone away, leaving him feeling isolated, alone in the darkness of his own heart. Choji's fists flew harder and faster, his frustration mounting. The Choji of today was consumed by anger, too far gone to care anymore. He screamed and kicked Yumemiya to the ground, unleashing a storm of punches. Everyone watched in silence, confused as to why Yumemiya wasn't fighting back. Sakura, concerned, yelled at Yumemiya to defend himself, but the other members told him to just watch. Finally, Choji stopped, panting heavily, while Yumemiya apologized for driving him to this corner of his mind. This only further enraged Choji, and he resumed punching until Yumemiya attempted to console him again. In a fit of fury, Choji bit Yumemiya's neck, desperate for him to stop talking. Yumemiya held Choji firmly in his arms, but Choji broke free, retreating. Yumemiya brought up the past where there was a conflict between Shishitorin and Furin that had been based on a misunderstanding. Yumemiya recalled how Choji's punches back then had more weight, and how Choji had once been happy. Standing up, Yumemiya asked Choji what his vision was back then. Choji, angered, punched him again, but Yumemiya caught his hand this time, repeating his question. Then, in a shocking move, Yumemiya headbutted Choji, forcing him to confront his past. Choji's mind filled with memories of the fun and camaraderie he shared with his gang. Now, all that was gone, and he was just an empty shell of the leader he once was. Choji opened his eyes and saw Tagame. Choji admitted he saw the past and all were having fun. Tagame, regretful, apologized that he didn't know what Choji was going through. Tagame thought supporting Choji meant letting him do whatever he wanted. Tagame should have stayed by Koji's side and guided him. Choji explained he thought that he will have more fun when he became the leader, but fled nothing. His disappointment grew into frustration, and he blamed everyone else for his unhappiness. Now, he realized he had broken his own happiness. Through tears, Choji apologized to Tagame, and the two cried together, finally understanding each other. After a moment, Choji stood up, thanking Tagame. He walked over to Yumemiya and handed him the Shishitorin jacket, officially giving up. But Yumemiya refused to take it, explaining that he never intended to take over anyone's gang. His goal had always been to befriend them, making this entire conflict nothing more than a get-together. Hearing this, Choji laughed, realizing that Yumemiya was far more laid back and funnier than he had ever imagined. After the intense fight, Yumemiya and the others made their way to the roof for a small after-party. Everyone was gathered, happily eating their food. But Yumemiya noticed something off. He turned to Tagame, who was sitting quietly, not touching his food, and asked why is he not eating. Tagame suddenly bowed deeply and apologized as it was his fault this fight even happened. Tagame was the one who got everyone into this mess. Choji, standing nearby, joined Tagame in bowing and apologized too. Yumemiya asked Sakura what should they do of Tagame. Sakura told Tagame to be a lot cooler as a punishment. Everyone laughed, and Tagame accepted punishment. The group resumed eating, but Choji couldn't help but ask Yumemiya how is he so happy even after being the top guy of Furin. Yumemiya explains that it's not about being the top. Yumemiya just enjoys being around people, having fun with them. That's where the happiness comes from. Being at the top is about making sure everyone's having a good time, so Yumemiya can enjoy things like this. Choji agreed. Yumemiya explained that happiness is in the people around us, but we often don't appreciate it. Yumemiya became the top because he had support from everyone, not because he wanted to rule alone. As the Furin members prepared to leave, Yumemiya handed Choji a small loaf of bread as a gift, and Choji accepted the bread and said his farewells. Afterward, he turned to Tagame and apologized for his actions. The two shared the bread together, symbolizing their mended friendship. Meanwhile, Sasaki was waiting for the Furin outside the cafe. Seeing them return, he rushed over and asked about the fight. Yumemiya calmed down Sasaki and told that they won, and everything's fine now. They all entered the cafe, where Takabana welcomed them back. Yumemiya tried to hug Takabana, but she skillfully dodged and welcomes all the Furin members. Sakura, feeling nervous after everything that happened, tried to leave, but Yumemiya grabbed Sakura and dragged him back in, telling him to relax and enjoy the moment. Sitting next to Sakura, Yumemiya brought up their earlier fight. Yumemiya asked if Sakura had a conversation with Tagame. Sakura was confused and told Yumemiya he did not listen anything from the fists. This made Yumemiya and the others laugh. Yumemiya explained fists were humanity's first language before words even existed. The feelings one expresses with them are just as primal, whether it's love or hate. Sakura is caught off guard by this and accidentally spat out his coffee in shock, coughing as Yumemiya wiped his face with a napkin. Later, Yumemiya teased Sakura, asking if Sakura wanted to hit Choji for kicking Tagame. Does this mean Sakura grew fond of Tagame? Sakura, annoyed, admitted that his true goal was to defeat Yumemiya. Thank you so much for watching our video till end. If you enjoyed our content and desire more videos on similar anime, please consider leaving a like and subscribing to our channel. We look forward to seeing you in our next video.